Yo, what's up? What's up? Let's get it going. We'd like to welcome you all. Welcome all y'all good people.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Yes, YouTube world, the trucking world. I want to invite y'all to Mr. B's Trucking Institute.
What's up?
Where
what's
we
up?
keep it in the road. We find solutions, not excuses.
Not excuses.
I'm Mr. B. I'm in this driver's seat. We got my co-driver, DC Wolf, over there. What's happening with your boss? What's going on?
What's up? What's up? Beautiful Sunday, man. Ready to go. Ready to go.
Ready to ride, baby.
Yes, sir.
I got on my Sunday riding cap. You see that?
Yes, sir. That's pretty too, man.
They ain't ready for that.
Yeah. Look like you could do some. Look like you do some, maybe do some golfing in the hat too,
yes,
man.
Sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's that Sunday truck driving. Sunday truck driving hat. They ain't ready for that right there. Whoa. They ain't ready for that.
Hey, man, I got my truck driving mic on, man. I went full truck driver today, man. I'm going full truck driver. I'm going full truck driver today, boy.
Let me get out this driver's seat.
Come on, man. Let me get in there. Let me get in there. Come on. Come on.
All right.
Got the full gear on today.
And I'm gonna bring Foodie Fancy in here. This is our dispatcher for first time. Any of y'all first time watching Mr. B's Trucking Institute, where we keep it in the road. Again, I'm your co-driver. I'm the co-driver today, Mr. B. I'm gonna let you know what? I ain't letting DC Wolf drive today. I'm driving. I'm gonna stay in the driver's seat, boss.
Come on.
I'm gonna let Wolf stay over there in that co-driver seat, trying to look all cute with his little headphone on, and we're gonna bring our dispatcher on and see who we're gonna have in the bunk today.
All right.
What Foodie fans that? Let me call up right quick.
Well, why are you turning your head like you're doing a commercial?
I'm just trying to show off my, you know what I'm saying, my gear, man. I'm just trying to show off my truck driving gear. You know what I'm saying?
And it's lining up perfect with the.
Yeah, man. I took time to do that before I got on. You know.
I see it. It's blinking. It's ready. You blinking,
man.
ready.
All it need to do is just shut off during the show, and that'll, you know what I'm saying, that'll just humble me and everything.
There you go, man. Just shut the whole thing down.
Yep.
Man, what's going on?
Me down.
All right?
Oh man, it's wonderful, man. Wonderful.
Awesome,
Beautiful
awesome.
Day.
Well, hey everybody, and welcome. With Foodie Fancy, I'm here. I got some news for you guys.
All right.
I'm still tripping on it, right? So I'm connected to this truck driver site, and I get all the news and stuff that's happening. So they have this elephant that's in Thailand. It's called Fatty. They call the elephant Fatty.
Okay. Okay.
Fatty, if you're driving a regular vehicle, you fine. But if you're driving like a big truck, you got some problems. Fatty, they say Fatty jump out of the woods. Fatty jump out of the woods. And so the drivers know to give Fatty some sugar canes. So that's their toll. That's how they pay the toll. So Fatty be like, I need my sugar canes and I'm going to let y'all pass. So they give Fatty sugar canes and Fatty let them go by. Well, this one box trucks driver, man, he went through and he didn't have the sugar canes. So Fatty took his truck and just turned them all the way over, man.
What?
Fatty said, look here, you ain't getting through here without that sugar cane now.
What country is that, man?
Man, it's over in Thailand. I'm sitting here reading the article right now, and I thought it was a joke, but it's for real. It's serious. So Fatty the elephant, if you do not have your sugar canes and you in that area and you driving a big truck, you gonna have a shakedown by Fatty, and you don't want it's gonna
can we get a video? Can we get some video footage on that?
I have the footage right here, man. I'll have to show y'all that. It's
that's
crazy.
what's up.
Okay.
That's what's up.
Next, we got to show that one next. Next episode, we got to show that one.
Man, look, I'm sitting up there now. I'm looking at it. The truck tilted all over. Fatty like, no, man, I need my sugar canes.
Yeah, we can't tell that. We can't tell that story to Dennis because he'll get some ideas.
You know what? Forget all that.
Dennis will probably be hanging out at the truck stop somewhere near the weigh scale. Talking about you can't get through the weigh scale unless you. You know what, no, Clint? I heard last time we talking about that, man. Dennis was at the weigh scale. Now I'm thinking about it. Trying to holler at some ladies, man.
What?
Trying to get that number at the weigh scale, boss.
He told me he was gonna drive during the day now, man. You know what I'm saying? To get acquainted with the ladies, man. Because they weren't seeing him at night.
Man, he's still trying to find a wife, boss.
Look, if y'all got Dennis in that truck, he need to get them loads ready. I'm about sick of Dennis showing up late with a box of Krispy Kreme. All that.
You know why? You know why?
I know why. But listen, let's talk about who we have in the sleeping berth for us today. I'm so excited. We have John Ware. John is an ex-military veteran. So, guys, I am going to turn it over. You guys just do what you do. Let's just go ahead and have this great conversation. I'm listening and just looking forward to this interview that y'all going to do with John. So, without further ado, turn it over to John and you guys, and keep it in the road.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Foodie. Thank you.
All right.
We appreciate you, Miss Foodie Fancy.
Miss Fancy Foodie.
What's going on, John?
Everything's beautiful. How about you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. Foodie Fancy.
Get on out of here, Foodie Fancy. Oh, she knows she'll be trying to sell. She'll be trying to sell John some sweet potato pies.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm down for one. That's for real.
Okay. That's what's up, man.
How y'all been, man?
Oh, we doing great. We doing great. Well, let me start out by asking you, John, you know, where you from?
I'm from New Orleans, born and raised.
Okay.
So how
Big
was
Easy.
it? Big Easy. So how was it growing up in New Orleans?
Well, back in my time, it was fun. You know, everybody was real. They kept it real. They kept it 100. You know, so right now they said they kept it 100. Back then they said you do as I say, not as I do. You know, that's how they did it back then. So it was fun in New Orleans, man. I had a blast.
Okay.
You know, wouldn't have wanted it no other way.
Okay, that's good stuff. When I was over at the trucking school, I had a couple of guys and ladies come through right after Katrina to get their CDL license. Were you involved at all in Katrina in 05? Or were you out of there by then?
No, 05, I was not there, but my family was involved in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was actually up here in 05.
Okay.
So I had to do a rescue mission to go get my mom and my brother and sister and brought them up here, and they stayed with me for a couple of years.
Okay. Yeah.
So because it was a hot mess.
That's what's up.
That was a tough time, man.
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, Mr. Ware, first of all, man, I just want to thank you for your service. My name is DC Wolf. It's great to meet you. Thank you for your service, man. A lot of people have a misconception about, I guess, people of color and servicemen and first responders. Is just kind of like we got this narrative that, you know, we hate military and first responders and all this kind of stuff, man. But I want to thank you for your service. My question to you,
sure appreciate that.
My question to you is, one, why did you choose the military? And then what branch were you associated with?
I think I went with the military because I didn't want to do Air Force, Navy. And I just didn't want to do Air Force, Navy, and Marines. So I had a few buddies that had been through the Army, and they gave me the inside scoop. So said it wasn't too bad. I just jumped on in, you know, brought it on in and to find out for myself how it really was. Once I got in, you know, it was over from there because I found out everybody around the globe was pretty much like myself, trying to do good for their family, you know, try to make a way. So once I got in, I found out they're no better than me. They're doing what I'm doing. So let's see where this takes me. And it was the Army. I joined the Army.
Okay. So now now we were chatting a little while back and you was telling me about you drove trucks in the Army. I have always been very interested in that. And how does that work? So kind of tell me, how did you get into trucking in the military? And then we could talk a little bit about what you were hauling when you were in there. So what was that, your MOS or what?
Well, they had a certain amount of MOSs that you could, job titles for folks that don't know what MOS is. It's actually your job title. So during the recruiting phase of everything, they showed you a list of things that you could get into coming into the Army. So out of that list, I actually picked trucking. I said, okay. They broke it down to me what it was because I was new to it. They broke it down to me. It was trucking logistics. So I said, well, I can't go wrong with that. And I said, well, give me trucking. So that's how I got into it.
So I'm just curious, you just randomly picked it, or was it anything from your past, or you grew up? Or you just randomly said, I'm gonna do trucking?
It was not random. It was like I already had skills that I knew of. Prior to me getting into the military, I was actually working in the industrial field, with trucks, warehouse work, stuff like that. So I was going to eventually leave from doing the forklift to drive the trucks, but then that kind of folded. So I said, well, you know what, let me go try this military thing. Since I already had a kind of background knowledge of the trucking industry, I said, well, let me try trucking. And then from there, they showed me a videotape of what was going to be going on, what to be expected once I got in there. And I went with it, just took it for what it was.
So what were you hauling?
Oh, man, I tell you, every and anything. So to break it down to you, basically, when you're at a duty station, you're going to be assigned to what you're going to be hauling. If you with artillery, you'll be hauling ammo. So if you with, say, for example, the restaurant, hotels and stuff like that, you'll be hauling their products. So basically, everything is in-house. What we're doing for ourselves. We're hauling our food, we're hauling our ammo, we're hauling everything dealing with the military is what we were doing. It was basically logistics.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, servicing ourselves.
Okay, serve yourself. So this is so you had your class A that you go through a course, or they just put you in a truck? How did that work? I'm
glad you say that, because we don't have to have Class A license, CDLs, anything like that, because it's the government. So
was you driving? But who taught you?
They're going to take you through. They're going to take you through a course. Oh. Once they take you through this course, military course, then they alone will approve that you're fit to drive or you're not fit to drive. So they have driver's instructors there.
Okay, so how long was the course?
I want to say back then it was no more than about 2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
Okay, yeah. So was you in a class with a lot of other, people?
A lot of other soldiers.
Okay, with a lot of other soldiers. Okay.
A lot of other soldiers.
Okay, so were you the top of them soldiers, or you were near the bottom? Could you really bag that thing, bro? I kind of like what you said. I kind of like what you said with that. Let me tell you something. It was competitive, right? Because, it was certain things that we had to do in order to get through the class. Basically, you got your blind side docking. You have to dock the trailer. You got to learn how to bag the trailer, first of all, before you can even talk any smack to anybody. So if you can't bag, then you bottom at the bottom. So it was competition going on all the time. Whatever procedure they wanted you to put that tractor trailer, you had to do it. And then they gave you a time frame to do it in. So if you wasn't able to do it within that time frame, you just get to the back line, try it all over again. So it was a lot of competition. Because the way you had on backwards, you kind of reminded me of Black Rambo.
Excuse me?
So you kind of reminded me of like a Black Rambo with that hat on backwards.
Oh, okay, yeah, that well.
You have your gun. Could you like jump out the truck too, or do they? In all serious, I'm joking, but
no, really, and truly, be honest with you, Brian, you could not. Let me tell you, it was military structure. So, the way we wear our hats back to the, turned to the back and stuff like that. It wasn't no Rambo going on in there. It was strictly during those times. Just strictly, let's get the job done, discipline. But it was a lot of off the camera that you can actually see. We joked around with each other, just like everybody else. You're gonna have your fun, But the bottom line is to go on and get through the course, so that you can go. So they knew you were prepared to go on and drive wherever you go, So they kind of signed off on your invisible CDL,
And I know Wolf got a question, but I guess that's what always intrigued me, because I was sitting here thinking like, okay, so if you went through basic training,
right,
that means you have the ability, you're trained for warfare. So I'm like, could it ever be a situation, in all seriousness, like Rambo, where he was driving the trucks, and then if it's a situation where you got to park that truck and get down, you can. Do you see what I'm saying? Or those two never merged? Am I looking at it wrong?
Well, for me, that actually happened during the war, when it was like 89. You know, so where you actually had to get your ass, well, I don't know if you can say that, but you had to actually get off that truck. Right. And get up underneath it some kind of way, or get in the foxhole, whatever the case. That was 89, 90. The war ended in Iraq about, I guess, 90, 91, I believe it was. You know, so it was Desert Storm, Desert Shield. So we actually had to do that. You know, unfortunate enough for me, I got hurt during that era. So towards the end of the war, I got hurt and got injured and got sent back. So a lot of my fellow soldiers, they had to do just what you just described. Yeah, that Rambo type stuff, you know.
Yeah,
it was like kill or be killed. So, I mean, you're going to have to do, we were trained for that anyway, you know, for situations like that.
Yeah, we met a guy. I don't know if you remember, Mr. B. We met a guy at Dobbins. We were delivering flatbed deliveries, and he had just got back, and he was a driver over, and he was like that's one of the first thing they did when they gave him his mission is they armed him. So he was armed in the truck. So that's No, go ahead, B.
Yeah, and what was interesting too, when I was delivering to Dobbins, I hung out with this Marine for a couple of hours because I was delivering load, and you had guys that were contract. You could get contracts to go over there and drive, and I was seriously considering, really pondering on just getting a contract and going over there and driving. But what's interesting is this Marine actually kind of made me say, I don't think I want to do that. And the reason I changed my mind was because we got to talking, and his job literally was to go and bag bodies. Okay. And he told me, he said, man, the first body I bagged was a truck driver.
I remember
I
that.
was like, what? Yeah, and what he told me was that they would go late at night, they would do their runs. And of course, you're not in the military, you're just contracted. But he said they ran over like a landmine or something, it exploded. And he was just saying how dangerous it is because they were doing these runs really late at night. Like in the wee hours in the morning. And when he told me that, that you could actually lose your life, I had to think about that. Like, man, I don't know if I want to, you know what I'm saying? Take the risk. The money was really good, but it kind of made me really think a little bit more about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Brian, that was real, Brian. But because they did have contractors that, that what we couldn't do, it actually had some contractors over there. But it was the risk that they was taking, and they knew the risk. The risk was high, So yeah, they had some of them over there,
While we on that subject, man, because someone can hear it and be like, man, I'm just going to military and drive, man. This is great. So what I want to ask, so first of all, I noticed you didn't name if you was at the top of the class or not, but we're gonna let you go on that one.
Well, here's the deal. I wasn't at the top of the class. I wasn't at the top of the class, but I wasn't at the bottom. I'm gonna put it that way.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Okay.
That's
the difference, though, John. I ain't gonna lie. When it came to truck driving, I was always at the top driving.
Hey, man, what can I? They had a lot of folks in there with a lot of more experience, because yeah. But look, it didn't take me long though to get up to the top after they saw that I knew what I knew. You understand me? So that's how I looked at it. I was in the top 5 when it came down to what driver needed to go where, what driver needed to know how to read a map and get to where he needed to go off road. So back then they didn't have like we have now this GPS stuff. You either knew how to read a map or you didn't know how to read a map. And if that was the deterrent, then you hit to the back of the line. Let's bring these 5-6 guys up there that know how to read a map off road, and we're gonna go from there. You either had your map or your compass. So them two work hand in hand with each other back then.
So you weren't like Mr. B, one of them school drivers. When you hit the, it's a school driver, and then you need them drivers when the job need to get done. You need to be at the top of your class. See, he probably was a school driver, John. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, yeah. See, I was that when they needed the driver that knew how to get off and get where it needed to get.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I was fan.
Yeah, I was holding my own because my goal was to get to the top, the number 1 driver, because the number 1 driver had perks. They didn't have no weekend work. They didn't have no duty. Yeah. So they had the perks of all of us, and the last to be called because he had the perks. He top driver. So we did have top dogs. Trust me.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that kind of kept it interesting too.
Yeah. While we on that, man, like I was saying before, is you hear military. I can go get this CDL, working trucking in the military. Lay out for us, man, the things that you like and the things you dislike, man, because people in the trucking industry, they just sell a dream, you know what I'm saying? But tell us some stuff you liked about it. Tell us some stuff that was like, man, this is hard.
Or did you just love it?
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I loved it. But most of all, I enjoyed the freedom because the freedom came with me, driving and going. Nobody was over your shoulder. You had your set of orders. You know where you needed to go to get to point A to point B. So once we left the fort, the destination was on us because the dispatcher already knew where we were going. So it was the freedom. Once I left the fort, it was over with the rhetoric back there at the fort because now I'm on my own. So that's the part I enjoy. Not only that, I got a chance to see a lot of country. Just driving the 915s, man, I had a blast. So what I didn't like about it is, since I had a family and I was taking care of the family, you stayed gone a lot. Kind of like the way the commercial drivers do it here. The ones that's been on the road a lot, they have a chance to come on back home because they done beat that road to death now. So that's the only part I didn't like. Stayed gone a lot. The commitment was heavy.
Now, you threw a term at me. You said hitting the 915. Explain that for the regular civilians out here. What's the 915?
The 915, I have a picture of it. It's just a basic commercial truck for the Army. The Army needed to get a logistic truck in their system that they didn't have. So it was a single cab. I think it's like 15 gears, I believe it was. And there was with a Jake brake, the whole 9 yards. I have a picture of it. Just a minute. I don't know if your audience can see it, but I have a picture of it right here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. Wow. Yo, I see those. Yeah.
Yeah, it look like a container on the back. Yeah.
It is. It is. So those are the 915 single cab. Like they call it today, they call it a day cab is what it is, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's actually, I'm just sitting up looking at that truck, man. I know I would have probably alley docked it, blind side, sight side. You know what I'm saying? Just,
once I got used to it, man, we used to haul mail, the whole 9 yards. We did it all. Once I got used to it and got accustomed to knowing how to operate that trailer, it wasn't so much the truck. Once I knew how to handle that trailer, it was all downhill for me.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing, that trailer.
Yeah, that trailer. I said, John, I bagged that thing down the road and high side reverse 50 miles per hour backwards down the road.
Wow.
Yeah. I got them kind of skills.
You got. You know what? You said 50 miles an hour. You got mad skills.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Man. That's really unbelievable.
Man.
What I wanted to ask you too, John, is safe. And I was just thinking about this. If someone wanted to get in the trucking, and I had never thought about this until this interview, would you suggest them maybe going through like a young kid that want to get in trucking? Would you think it would be beneficial to go through the military to get your Class A, or just go outside the military? Could you speak to that? Do you think there would be any advantages in that?
Listen, I think to me, if you don't have the money to go and get your CDL, you can go and you're going to have to sacrifice. What I mean by that, if you're going into the military, if you're coming from nothing and you're trying to get something, then find a way of going there and get it. If my advice, if you don't have that, then go into the military, get trained, get a skill. You're learning and you're getting paid. It's a win-win. So that's what I would suggest. But of course, if you got the funds and you just don't want to go to the military, then go down and go to some school and get your CDLs. Because I'm going to tell you something, Brian. I got my CDLs out of the military, not in the military, because I was going to go into the trucking industry, just to get a feel for it, you know. And I have them to this day. So they made it, they kind of like gave us a waiver. Once we got out of the military, they kind of waived a lot of stuff for the military people in order for them to get their CDLs.
Okay.
So for me,
Go ahead.
For me, I went on it. The government paid for me to go and get my CDLs. So I was
okay.
good.
So where were you going? What was your idea? What were you going to do in transitioning out into trucking? What did you want to do, or what were your plans?
Well, what I did, first of all, I was going to go into that. Talk to the wifey, talk to her about, you know, me going to do the trucking type thing. She just wasn't having it at that point, you know, because by me being gone all the time in the military, she was just, enough was enough. So I rerouted my thinking, my thought process, and I started working at the Georgia Ports Authority, where I was a crane operator. Trucks come in there all the time, load, unload, I load them. Ships come in there all the time. That's what I did for the next 7 years, working at Savannah Ports Authority. And that was my transition. But I really wanted to go into trucking. But you know, when you're with a partner, you got a partner, you want to make sure things are right at home. So I listened, you know, to what the partner was saying. Hey, look, I need you home. You know, the bell was ringing. So I took out my selfish ways and I parked my selfish ways and I just listened. That's pretty much it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got that commander in chief at my house too. You know?
Yeah. So, you know, I always wanted to go on and just do it and just to branch out there to see, because I've seen it. I've seen so many truckers. I talked to so many truckers when I was at the Ports Authority, you know, to where it was a breeze. It was this, that, and the other. But there was an underlying condition that they wasn't telling me. You know, the owner operators was telling me that the ones that I did speak to, it's a lot of cost to come with this rig, you see. You know, and I couldn't understand, what are you talking about? You know, the cost of what you're telling me, the fuel, the insurance, the tags you got on it. It's a lot of costs with that. So are you willing to have your 75, maybe what, 75,000, whatever it took to get you up and running? You needed that money up front just to get that rig rolling.
Yes, sir.
And be safe.
Yes, sir. We probably gonna end up doing a show on that because it looks so glamorous. And you know, I had a friend of mine that just wanted to jump in. Hey man, I want to drive trucks, and you know, I can make this $1,500, $5,000 a week. And people don't realize the yes, you will be making more as an owner your own truck, but it's much more responsibility. You know,
that's what kind of deterred me a lot. And I said, well, you know what? I'm loading these containers off this ship onto this chassis. I'm saying I'm making just about as much money as this driver is making, you know, and he's got to go away from home. So when I clock out from this crane, I'm going home. So I did that for about, like I said, 7 years, and it was a blast. And that was, after that, it kind of died down. The urge to go kind of died down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that family life is so important because I was joking around, but in all seriousness, you got to be on the same page with your significant other. You know, I did a lot of local. Yeah, but being on that road, you know, but then some people are cool with it. I trained some husband and wives drivers. That did team driving, and they love the road. So you have to find, you know, what fits you, you know. And
I'm glad you said that, Brian, because I was even thinking along the lines of having my wife come with me and just be my partner on the road. But when you don't have a wife that wants to do that, then it's time to leave that alone, you know, because that's just not what she wants to do.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You got anything else, Wolf?
No, I was just on the crane work and stuff. When you did the crane work, what did you do after crane work, or is that what did you do after that?
After that, man, after I resigned from crane work, man, I came up here to Atlanta, man. Let me tell you something. There's a story behind that, but that was one of the hardest decisions to make, transitioning from what I was doing to coming up here to Atlanta and everything slowed down. I was like, shit.
Mhm.
This, you know, because all the cranes was in the city, you know, where, you know,
Yep.
now you know that you crane operator for buildings now, which
Mhm.
was a totally different animal, you know,
Mhm.
because all the managers and stuff out there wanted you to, even though I had crane experience, they wanted you to have building crane experience, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Yep.
To me, it didn't make sense because if I know how to operate a crane, I mean, what's the difference? It's just a scaffold going straight up. It's still a crane. You know, it still have operating, you know, you still can function the same operating tools the same way. So, but they wanted to have, you had to have building crane experience, and I didn't have that. So I basically just started doing some odds and end jobs, you know, until I got my foot planted. And now I'm good. I'm retired military, you know. I don't really have to get on that clock and hit no 80 hours, no 40 hours, you know. I'm proud to say that. You know,
Nice.
Uncle Sam hit the box every month, so I'm good.
Yeah, man. And that, you know, right now I'm doing some contract work downtown Atlanta in Midtown area, man. And when I tell you it's so much building going on down there, and those crane operators, man, it takes a lot of, you know, just a lot of courage and guts or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, you up there?
They up there in the sky.
Yeah, you up there?
They are.
See,
up there.
that's the kicker right there. You know, you can't be up there and scared. You got to be up there and just ignore everything down from the ground. You know, because it's the same thing. I don't know if you guys been into the span of port, but them crane operators up in the sky too. They up there. Then they got a glass floor that we look through just to see what's going on down underneath us. So if you got some kind of fear and height, that ain't you. That ain't you.
They ain't Mr. B. That's not Mr. B. Mr.
Yeah,
B
you don't need to be up there.
I bag it, John. I go backwards 100 miles. I do all that drives.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Going up, boss. No.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you way up there.
Been up there trembling, Clint. I've been up there trembling on that crane.
Hey, this is a question I had because I see cranes pretty much every night, man. I'm going to NSX Atlanta.
Okay.
And I still when on the cranes that move containers from chassis. Do they have cameras, man? Are y'all looking down and latching with y'all eye? How do y'all know when y'all latching the container? How does that work? How do y'all see?
It's a glass floor, so they're looking between the legs down at you. When they put that container on that chassis, they're looking at. They can see the whole operation. They can see the whole layout of that chassis. And it's
That's
not
some good eyes, John. Though I mean,
no,
I was thinking
the whole floor, DC, the whole floor is glass. So you actually have to go up into the crane itself just to see what I'm talking about, so you can get a bird's eye view of seeing what that operator sees. See, you won't see it from the ground because you're wondering how in the hell he said I know to put this thing on this chassis, you know, and to make sure that it's in those pins, you know, it ain't sitting on top of the pins. He see the whole layout.
Okay, because I'm like, man, they gotta have a camera or something that they
no camera.
Yeah,
no camera looking at you. They can talk to you. Yeah, I'm sure you know that. They can talk to you in the whole 9 yards. And you can talk to them too, basically, because they got a microphone down there that you can press the button and you can talk up to the operator up there. Hey, look, man, this chassis is on, it's not on right. Can you pick it up? Let me pull that pin, you know, and set it in there right. So yeah, they can see everything.
Wow, that's interesting. Man.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. Yeah, well, John, we want to say again, we appreciate your service.
Man, I appreciate. Thank you.
Yes,
and
man.
You know, appreciate your heart. You know, glad to have you on the show. It was some great.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
We appreciate you, man. Family man, doing it the right way. Had a great career. You know, you're a role model, brother.
Thank you, man. I sure appreciate that.
Yeah. Yes, so
that's what's up. DC, it's been nice chatting with you too, man. For real.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yes, sir.
So we always tell all of our guests that we just want you to tell them to keep it in the road. However you want to tell them to keep it in the road. Say this is John, Ware, military vet, keep it in the road. However you want to say it. You exit us right now. You get off because we've been riding on this big road and it's time for me to go and hit this truck stop. and get DC Wolf out the seat because he been
All
driving.
right, man.
So what you got? Let me hear you say it. Keep them in the road. You got to say keeping it in the road, however you want to say it.
Whatever you do, be safe out there and keep it in the road.
All right, we had John Ware. We appreciate you, brother. God bless.
Salute.
And we'll be in contact. You stay and you keep it on that retired road out there.
Hey, man, you know what? You know what? The thing about it is, I'm glad you said that, man. I can't do nothing but keep it real on that part.
Woo!
You know.
We all trying to get to that road right there you on, John. We all
appreciate you, man.
I'm trying to downshift and get on that road,
man. Yeah.
You know what? You know what? You just got to keep it focused, man. Just keep focused. You got it.
All right.
You got this.
Until then, Foodie Fancy keep running us hard though, but you know, we'll take
got a good leader, Foodie Fancy, doing her thing.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's
y'all be good.
Foodie Fancy, you ain't getting no sweet potato pies, John. What you trying to sell some sweet potato pies? Your volume off. We can't hear you. It ain't meant for us to hear you. Bye. It's not meant for us to hear you. Bye, Foodie Fancy.
All right, man.
All right, John, we'll be in contact. We appreciate you.
Thank you,
brother.
John.
All right, man.
Thank you, man.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. All right.
Yeah, Wolf, that was some good stuff right there, driver.
Yeah, man, that was just awesome, man. Awesome information, man. I love it, bro. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah, I never thought about the military drivers like that. You know, I see guys driving and stuff, and I never really. That was an awesome interview because I never really thought about, you know, kids being able to, you know, instead of going to trucking school, go to military, get your drive in the military, then you're able to, you know, get a lot of perks out of that. So that's a good route, you know, to become a truck driver. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up, man. That's
Yes,
what's
sir.
up. Love
Yes,
it.
sir.
Awesome show. Awesome, man. Awesome.
All right. So till next time, we appreciate y'all for keeping it in the road. We right here on Mr.
Want y'all
Trucking Institute. We find solutions, not excuses. Wolf. We out here, boss.
We out.
Yeah. Keep it in the road.